Sup, y'all? This is Patrick Allan Ryan, also known as Huge Cow Patty, or HCP for short. Welcome to the 6th episode of the Patrick Allan Ryan Show. We got a pretty good show for you today. I wasn't able to do some of the research that I was planning to do for this show because the internet here is not working that great. We had a little storm pass overhead yesterday, and the power flickered out, and ever since then the internet's been acting kind of weird. I called my ISP, and normally I just get a little machine, like an automated message that walks me through some steps, and of course, me being fairly technically savvy, I usually just burn through the steps and don't pay a whole lot of attention because I know what I'm looking for. What I'm trying to do is get them to reset the modem. And so this automated system will do that for me. But whatever number I called today was not that number. I actually got a human being. And what was really weird was I didn't even get put on hold. A human answered immediately. But he was obviously a sales rep and not like a customer service kind of person or any kind of an engineer. And of course, he was, English was obviously not his first language. And you know what, folks, I don't say that, like, begrudgingly. I don't say that to kind of be down on this guy. That's capitalism. Capitalism, these companies, they decide that, hey, it's cheaper to... my apologies. It's cheaper to, hire out a call center, especially one in a foreign country. And I know there's a lot of people out there that think, well, these big companies, they make all this money and then they outsource these jobs overseas. You know what? They do it because it's cheaper. And they do it because Americans don't want to work for that little of money, like people in some foreign countries want to, and you can say what you want about that, but here's the thing: if you want a job that badly and you were willing to work for that little money, I'm sure that they would pay you to do it. In fact, they'd probably like to, because then when we made these phone calls, we'd actually be able to understand more than 40% of what was being said to us. And that's how it is. And you could say, well, maybe they should just pay these people better. Well, if they paid them better, let's be real, then the price of the service would go up, and we don't want to pay that. So, I mean, it's just this big vicious cycle. I always say to people who want to yell and scream about how, jobs are being outsourced and how these people are working for pennies, that, you are contributing to it. And until you decide, well, I'm only going to buy things that are made in America, and I'm only going to buy things from companies that pay their employees what I consider to be a livable wage, you don't really get to complain about it. You're at that point, you're just a Facebook advocate, and that doesn't get anybody anywhere. You actually got to go out there and be productive and do something useful. All right, yeah, like I said, my internet is not acting like it should. The guy that I talked to, he kept telling me that the problem should be resolved in 15 to 20 minutes. I have a feeling that was just a script that he was told to read, because I just refuse to believe that he found that out as quickly as... I mean, that phone call was only about 10 minutes long. But, especially when he started telling me about the service outage before he even knew where I lived. So, yeah. Anyway, he was just reading a script. So, I don't even know if this show is going to get uploaded in a timely manner. Hopefully it will. Of course, if you're hearing it, it's already been uploaded, so it's not that big of a deal. But, you all... you know what I mean. It's going to be one of those days. So, moving on. Speaking of this internet problem, I decided that I was going to start learning how to use all these Adobe products. My website, I've got a website. I don't know if you visited it. It's patrickallanryan.com. Not going to lie, it's not great looking. It's just a cheap, cruddy looking WordPress thing. and I don't really know what I'm doing with it. In fact, because it looks so bad, I've kind of let it go to the wayside and just haven't been keeping up with it. Well, I remembered, I've got some of these Adobe products, and I've got Dreamweaver. And Dreamweaver is a web development tool. As far as I know, it's a like a what you see is what you get kind of a program where you put the pieces where you want to, and Dreamweaver will then write the code that needs to be written. And I'm sure that the code that it writes is not fantastic. If I had like a web designer or a web developer or a webmaster could go in and clean up the code so the website would run a little bit more efficiently. But since I don't have these things, I've got access to Dreamweaver, and so I was like, well, I should learn how to use this. So I started watching one of the tutorial videos on Adobe's website, and of course, the internet. I'm really sorry about this yawning, guys. It's not very professional. The internet is not working, so I wasn't able to watch the video or to start the tutorials. But now I know they're there, and I can start working on, and these things will help me learn how to use this program that I use to record this show, Audition. It'll help me use Premiere a little bit better. It'll help me use Dreamweaver, Photoshop, Illustrator, all these things that I've got access to. So I'm glad I found that. I'm glad I discovered that Adobe has these tools and these assets for me to get in there and learn how to do this stuff. So that's really cool. Hopefully the internet will be up. Hopefully the internet will be up before the end of the day. But even if it is, I wouldn't probably be able to start doing that again until tomorrow. So that's exciting. Hopefully I can learn how to do something really cool and make a nice, pretty website for you all to enjoy. And then, that might make updating the website a little bit more enjoyable. Because so far updating the website, it's just not any fun. And most of the time it's not any fun because it just looks like garbage. I shouldn't say it looks like garbage. It just doesn't look great. And, yeah. Reclaimer. Like I said, I wasn't able to do some of the research that I wanted to do. I wanted to get some more porn statistics, find some more examples of people out there in the world. Acknowledging that sex addiction and that pornography addiction is very real, and overcoming that struggle and recognizing that we've got a porn problem in this country. And again, the internet is down, so I'm not able to put in the time that I normally would have to get you all those statistics. So unfortunately, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about Reclaimer, but I figured that instead I would go ahead and talk a little bit about Above Par Production. So this is my production company. So far it's just stuff that I do. Excuse me. And like this show, it's Original Gamers Podcast. We're involved with CrossForge Gaming, which, as I've said before, does esports tournaments and things like that. We're starting a Pokemon Go podcast, and that's starting next week. And if you're, I've always thought it'd be really cool. And I should really talk to my wife about this because she's usually really supportive of me doing this stuff. I've always thought it would be really cool to have a network of podcasts. YouTube networks of YouTube channels and things like that exist, but there aren't very many podcasting networks out there. Now they're there. The only one that I can think of, and it's because I listen to it, at least one of their shows every single week, is the GFQ network, and that stands for Guys from Queens. And they do a little bit of everything. The show that I listen to is called What the Tech. It's with Andrew Zarian and Paul Thurrott. Paul Thurrott is a very, in the tech journalist industry, he's a very well-known Microsoft blogger, and he follows, Microsoft's endeavors with Windows and Office and Surface, and he does some Xbox stuff, and so I listen to that show every week because it's really interesting. But they also do a wrestling show, and it's just a bunch of other really neat stuff, and that's what these guys do. These guys do this for a living, And I've, ever since being introduced to GFQ, I've thought, like, that'd be really cool to have a network of podcasts. And so, I'm slowly working on it. I've got, like I said, I've got this podcast. I've got the Original Gamers podcast. There's a Pokemon Go podcast. I'm going to be talking with the CrossForge Gaming guys about having an esports podcast that we can do. I don't want all of the podcasts that we do to be geeky, but that's probably where it's going to head for the most part, because I am geeky and most of the people I hang out with are geeky. And part of the ministry of Above Par Productions and Reclaimer is injecting the church into geek culture. So that's probably going to be a lot of it. But it's exciting. This is going to be really cool, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So look for the Pokemon Go podcast. And I was talking with one of the guys who's going to be co-hosting, and he said that that the podcast is probably going to need to be more than just Pokemon Go if it's going to have any legs. And he's right. And the show will naturally be about more than just Pokemon Go. It'll probably be a lot about just Pokemon in general, and other video game things. But Pokemon Go is going to be the main thing, the main event for the podcast, and so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. It's looking like, instead of going how I did with this show, that we're going to go with a podcasting platform such as Podbean or maybe even SoundCloud. Just going to see what the best price is. Since Original Gamers Podcast is on Podbean, I'd kind of like to keep them together, and so it's probably going to be on Podbean, but we'll see. And once we get that up and the RSS feed out there, we'll tweet it out and we'll get it going, and so that you can listen to it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Really, really looking forward to it. All right, moving on to my next topic. So I'm involved in some rewards programs. Now, this is going to sound like a sales pitch, and I apologize about that if you don't want to have me pitch something to you. You can turn it off. You can turn the show off. I would like it if you stuck around, because I think this will be interesting to you, whether you do it or not. But I understand some people don't want to have something sold to them. So I'm in these rewards programs, and rewards programs can be tricky because a lot of them are just scams. But there are some legitimate ones out there. Unfortunately, even the legitimate ones, because they're not in complete and total control over everything that happens in their program, sometimes scammers or spammers wind up weaseling their way into these. But these are the ones that I do that seem to be very conscientious of taking care of their users. And so they're my two favorites. Actually, I've got three favorites, but I'll start with these two because they're kind of the most broad, and they happen online. Swag Bucks, which that is found at swagbucks.com, and then My Points. Now, I'm going to have my referral link in the show notes below this, so please, if you're thinking about signing up for any of these, use my referral link, because you get extra money out of it, and I get extra money out of it, and it just makes everybody happier. So, Swag Bucks. Swag Bucks is mostly you watch advertisements. So, if when I had a regular job, I used to just let Swag Bucks sit open on another like Chrome tab. Excuse me. I promise I'm gonna try and go through this show and cut out some of these coughs and stuff. I just don't always have the time to do it. Anyway, so I would have another Chrome tab open, and I would just let these videos play. You don't have to actually watch them. You don't have to pay attention to them. You're not going to be quizzed on them. Now, they do play audio, so if you're at a computer where you need to be able to hear something that's coming in over the computer, this is not going to work for you, because yes, you can mute the video, but every single time a new video loads, it unmutes itself. And that's because they want you to listen to it. I mean, the reason you're getting paid for this is because these advertisers are paying them because the video is playing. And Swag Bucks is paying you for sitting there and watching it. So, of course, after the first video ends and you muted it, it's going to unmute itself. And so if you're in an environment where other people can hear your computer, or you need to be able to hear your computer, this program's probably not going to work for you. But every time you watch a video, they pay you what's called a swag buck, and these swag bucks can be exchanged for different kinds of rewards or prizes. I tend to spend all mine on Amazon gift cards. You can get Visa gift cards, but the exchange rate from swag bucks to Amazon money it's the best bang for your buck. So as long as you do a lot of shopping on Amazon, or and honestly, you can get so much on Amazon that there's really no reason to not do that. Especially when you can get 2 or 3 more Amazon dollars than you can real dollars. So, get Amazon gift cards, buy your toilet paper, your shampoo. You can even, if you live in the right area of town or right area of the country, you can even get food delivered to you from Amazon. So, and I when I was working and I was letting this program run a lot, I was making pretty easily $25 a month doing it. I know that's not a lot, but if you save up that $25 a month, start in January, and you save that you can pay for Christmas. Because that's $300 a year. And there you go. As long as you say, I'm going to spend $300 on Christmas for my family, then you got that. But there's other ways to make money. On there, you can take surveys. The surveys are iffy because if you don't qualify for the survey, and I've spent 10 or 15 minutes on a survey to have it tell me I don't qualify, and I don't get paid for it, and that's really lame. But most of the time, the surveys, they respect your time, and so if you're not going to qualify for it, you'll know in the first 60 seconds that it'll kick you out. But if you do get a survey, most of these surveys, there are individual surveys that if you manage to qualify for it, pay you $5 just for that survey. So if you're dedicated to it and you watch a lot of videos, and there's a phone app that you can run videos on, and that gives you extra swag bucks. If you're real dedicated to it, there are some people out there who use swag bucks, and that's no joke, that's how they make their living. They're on it constantly, and this is what they do for a job. Now, I don't imagine they're getting paid great. They're probably making, if they're real super dedicated, I would think $15,000, $20,000 a year. It sounds like a lot of money to me to be getting out of that. But like I said, there are people, this is what they do. They do this for a living, so they must be making something. But check that out. I'm going to post my referral link to that in the show notes. Then there's My Points. My Points is it's much more survey driven, and it's also much more buy stuff and get rewarded for it driven. So if you want to buy some jewelry, if you'll buy it from Amazon, yes, you're going to get charged the full Amazon price, but then My Points will give you a percentage of it back. That's kind of like Ebates, I suppose, but Ebates is nothing but that, whereas My Points has surveys and other ways to make points. But My Points is very, very slow. I might make $50 in 6 months through My Points. So that one's kind of a slog. But that one it's legit, and so that's why I recommend it. But that one I'm not on very much. Swag, if I do anything, I'm on swag bucks. And that's the one that I like. One more that I'll talk about is Google surveys. Now I'm fairly certain that this is only available for Android users, but there might be an iOS app. And just every now and then, Google will send me a survey, and it's not a very long one. It's, hey, were you in one of these stores over the last couple of days? And they'll give you a list of 5 stores. And most of the time, because Android and through Google Maps and GPS is kind of paying attention to where you are, especially if you use Google now. And it pulls up surveys based on where you've been. So it'll be like, hey, were you at KFC the other day? Well, yeah, I was at KFC. And then it'll go, okay, what day were you on KFC? And I think that's probably just to make sure that you're not making it up. Because honestly, I've put in, I'm pretty sure, that, hey, I was at Walmart and I put the wrong day in by accident. It doesn't care. But, it wants to know when you were there. And then it just rate your experience 1 through 5. And you hit a star and you say okay. And then depending on how much that advertiser was paying for that survey, you'll get between 5 and 20 cents for it. And I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I make about $10 a month doing this. And you can imagine one survey takes 10 seconds. And I make about $10 a month doing this. And that's how I pay for my YouTube Red subscription. I also, I play Pokemon Go, which you all know, of course, because I keep talking about it. If I'm ever hey, I want to buy some Pokeballs, I've got Google Play credit. I've got $20 in Google Play credit just sitting in my account right now. And I won't touch that money. I don't spend money on apps. I don't spend money on Google services. I mean, you've got YouTube Red now, so that's nice. But yeah, so I've got that, and it's cool. And it's, hey, I want to treat myself to a $2 item in Candy Crush, so I can do that if I want to. I've never spent a dime on Candy Crush, but if I wanted to, I could, and it's there, and that's pretty cool. There's other rewards programs. There was Expo.tv, but I didn't use it for a while, and the last time I checked in on it, it looked like they had changed a lot. But what that was if they would ask you to review things, and most of the time they were asking you to review things you just had laying around the house. So it'd be hey, we're looking for a review of a 3DS game. Oh, I happen to have that 3DS game, so I'll play the game on camera, and I'll talk a little bit about it, and you spend 2 or 3 minutes talking about whether or not you liked it or not, and you upload it to the site, and they give you a couple bucks for the video. But like I said, last time I visited the site, because I hadn't been on it in a while, things looked really different. I don't even know if they're still doing the same thing anymore, but it is expo.tv, so that's EXPO period TV. But yeah, there's all kinds of ways. When I hear people talk about I can't find a job and I can't make any money, there are ways to do this. You just gotta look. And I'm not trying to say that finding a job is easy. It's really not. I've got a friend who, she'd been looking for a job for what seemed like months, and I know she was trying. And I know she was trying because I know her, and I know that her heart. And she was out there, and she just couldn't find anything that would be willing to hire her. And even when she did find someplace willing to hire her, she'd get the job, and she just hated it. And look, folks, I understand the times are rough out there, and sometimes you got to make money. But if you go to work every day and it makes you want to kill yourself, that's not worth going to a job for. Now, I'm not saying that this person ever contemplated suicide because she hated her job that badly. Just that, I understand that you don't necessarily have to love your job, but I do think you'd have to not hate it, or you're just going to be miserable, and you're not going to perform well, and you're going to make yourself look bad to your employer. And especially if you're a Christian, you're going to make the church look bad to your employer and to your coworkers and the other people around you. But anyway, so she was asking me about these rewards programs, and so this is what made me think about it. And now she's going to be out there, and she's not going to be making a ton of money using these programs, but they're there, and it'll be something for her to fall back on. Okay, so I want to talk about the Republican National Convention. So there are delegates, and look, I really don't care what you think about Donald Trump. He won. He wasn't my pick. I'm not particularly crazy about the idea of him being the nominee or potentially the president. But the fact of the matter is, there was a voting process, and the delegates were divvied out fairly, unlike in the Democratic convention. You Bernie supporters really got screwed out of... Not that I think Bernie was going to beat Hillary Clinton anyway, but it certainly should not have gone down the way that it did. But anyway, the delegates were handed out. The delegates were voted on. These are the results, and now there are delegates at the RNC that are like, I'm not doing this. And, they're blatantly saying, we don't care that the people voted to elect Donald Trump as the nominee of our party. We're just not going to do it. And there's a lot of people out there like, yeah, good for them, but you got to understand, he won. You don't have to like that he won. He won. Just like, I'm a libertarian. I'm a conservative libertarian, and I wasn't real crazy about Obama winning either time that he won. But the fact of it remains, he won, and he's the president. and we got to get over that. And so there's all this stuff about the birthers, and I mean, if there was some legitimate concern about that stuff, I'd have been like, yeah, this needs to be addressed because then it is illegal. And I do believe that politicians all the time are trying to usurp the law because they think they're exempt to it. And I think Barack Obama is no different, just like I think Hillary Clinton likes to think she's above the law. But I think Mitt Romney thinks he's above the law, and Rick Perry thinks he's above the law. All these politicians, they think the laws don't apply to them. And that's mostly because we don't make the laws apply to them. So that's really on us. That's our fault. But, you know, what I want to talk about was these delegates. They're walking off the floor and saying, we're not doing this. We're not going to participate in this. And, I mean, this really is how bad it's gotten. The Democrats have already shown they don't give a hoot about people that vote Democrat. They only care about Hillary. Because Bernie got screwed. I don't think he was going to win to begin with, but he got screwed. And then he turned around, and I don't know what he got offered, but then he turns around and says, yeah, sure, Hillary's great. And so, these politicians, they don't care about you. To me, it's sad to think that Donald Trump might be the closest thing to anybody we've got running that cares about anybody, because he doesn't really have like a stake in this game. He loses the presidency, he goes back to Trump Tower to sleep on his mattress made out of $7 million bills. He doesn't need this. This is not his job. Barack Obama needs people to keep funneling money to him. Hillary Clinton needs people to keep funneling money to her. Bernie Sanders and who's that other guy from Texas? Ted Cruz. They all need money being filtered to them because they don't have jobs. They don't have any real skills outside of acting like a douchebag on the House floor. That's what these guys do. And so when I think of what's out there, I'm like, Donald Trump might be it because, again, he's the one guy that didn't really have anything to lose in this. Because if he loses, he goes back to doing what he's always been doing, which is being a freaking rich billionaire. That's what's up with Donald Trump. But yeah, the Republican Party, it's falling apart. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. I think it's time for the Republicans and the Democrats to leave, to go away. They've long overstayed their welcome, and we keep getting the same trash over and over and over again. And even the Libertarian Party's going to turn out like that, because Gary Johnson, I'm sorry, he's not a Libertarian. And this is coming from a guy who liked Gary Johnson 4 years ago. But then I started learning about some of his other views, and I saw some of these debates the Libertarian Party had, and I was like, wow, this guy's just a Democrat. I don't want that. He's just a Democrat running for the Libertarian Party. But what's funny, though, is I bet there's a lot of Democrats out there. This guy's just a Republican running for the Libertarian Party. But, whatever. It is what it is. So, yeah, it's crazy out there, guys. We need lots of prayer for this country. We need lots of prayer for our families, for our troops, and for our politicians, even though our politicians are idiots. It's so stupid. I do not mind saying that. Politicians. I take that back. They're not stupid. They're not idiots. They're actually very smart. It's us who keep voting for them that are stupid. We're the morons here. Anyway. The quest to get Caspian continues on. I haven't updated it in a while. Of course, that's largely because our internet's been acting funny recently. But earlier today, he had another swim lesson. He did really well. He can float on his back. He can swim on his back and kick his feet and move his hands and all that stuff. And in fact, he's in a lot of ways he's swimming better than I am. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a proud daddy. I'm saying that because I can keep myself afloat. I'm a fine swimmer. But, moving myself forward in the water and traveling is not something I've ever been fantastic at. And he's taking to the water and to moving around in the water very naturally. But his swimming lessons happen at a little sports complex that I was involved in when I was in Little League. So I did T-ball, I did soccer, I did Little League basketball. Caspian doesn't get to do these things. Because he's not here when anything's going on, because he's just here in the summer, and you have baseball in the spring and football in in the fall, and soccer's in the fall, and basketball is kind of in the spring too. And there's nothing going on over the summer. But his mom doesn't sign him up for any of this stuff either. And if we have custody of him, he'll get to do these things. He'll get to play t-ball. He'll get to play soccer. He'll get to join the swim team if that's what he wants to do. He'll get to do all these extracurricular outside activities that he's not getting to do in his current living situation. And we want to change that. We want him to be down here. We want to have custody of him so that so he can do these things. So he can have some friends and be out there and be a kid in a way that he's not able to today. And so that's really important to us. We really want this to happen. The web address is gofundme.com/Caspian Quest. That's gofundme.com/Caspian Quest. You can get all the information that you need there and updates. We need to update the video that's on the front because it has to do with our wedding, and our wedding happened already. When I say our wedding, I mean mine and my wife's, not mine and my son's. That would be weird and illegal and frankly gross. Get your head out of the gutter, weirdos. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pray, and then I'm going to get going. It was another short episode. I apologize for that. Again, it's the internet's down, and yeah, that's how that goes. So, yeah. I'm going to wrap this up and pray, and then we'll leave. Father, thank you so much for the nice weather and that Caspian was able to have a good swim lesson. Lord, I want to lift up Reclaimer and the ministry of Above Par Productions, that you would bless these podcasts that I'm doing and help me to continue to inject a little bit of church culture into geek culture and to merge these things, and not in a way that sacrifices anything about the geek culture, anything about the nerd culture, or anything about the church culture. I want them to merge with each other and become one, and for one to not suck up the other one, but for them to exist at the same time. Father, I want to thank you so much for Caspian. Thank you that he's able to be down here to learn how to swim, and that I do have him for a while and can influence him in ways that his mother is not influencing him, and honestly in ways that I don't want him to be influenced, especially by the people that Caspian and his mom hang out with up there in Memphis, Tennessee. Father, we just praise you in your holiness and your awesomeness and your faithfulness. You're amazing, God. Thank you so much for blessing this ministry. Thank you so much for bringing people here to listen and to share in my vision for eliminating pornography in this country, and for seeing this country be free from the slave chains of pornography and all these other sexual sins that this country is involved in. We thank you, God, and we ask that you bless us and keep us safe. Amen. All right, look me up, patrickallanryan.com. I'll be looking for that new website as soon as I get to check out these videos for Dreamweaver, as soon as the internet starts working like it's supposed to be working. In fact, I'm going to check it now. Well, Facebook loaded really quick, so maybe I'm going to pull up a YouTube video here and see if maybe things are working like they should be. So here, all right, well, looky there. That loaded really quick. So maybe the internet's working again, and I'll be able to work on some of these tutorials. And I'll have a... what was I going to say? Oh, I'll have a better show tomorrow because I'll be able to do some more research now that the internet is working the way it's supposed to be and all that stuff. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah, patrickallanryan.com for the website. Look for the website. The Twitter is at Patrick Proper. You can check me out at facebook.com/AboveParProductions. Please don't forget to like and follow CrossForge Gaming. That's crossforgegaming.com. Or if that's not working, facebook.com/CrossForgeGaming. And please follow and listen to the Original Gamers podcast. That is ogcast.podbean.com. And all that is in the show notes below. And please be looking forward to the Pokemon Go podcast that's launching next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be awesome. Thank you so much. Keep praying. Keep sharing. Keep sharing this show and this ministry. And please pray about... possibly contributing to it financially. I love you guys. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow.